The final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fun ride packed with emotion, action and comedy. Sadly, it lacks much in the way of closure and the primary antagonists are on the weak side. In Season 7, the agents find themselves travelling through time at an uncontrollable rate. The first half of the season has them jumping from one time period to the next, attempting to stop the alien robotic bad guys from changing time and taking over the planet. The change in period and time also brings with it a change in visual style and production. Each new setting has a distinct look and feel, with one of the highlights being a black and white, noir-inspired episode based upon classic films of the period. The first half of the season is fun and enjoyable, with an element of unpredictability because we literally didn't know where the agents would be in the next episode. There are surprises, twists and cliffhangers that add to this too. Each episode in the first half feels like a small adventure of its own, while building on a larger ongoing story. The exploration of time also allows for some homages, references and connections to other Marvel properties. A major character from the TV show Agent Carter, for example, plays a role this season. It's a nice touch that makes both of these shows feel connected and is equally significant and important. It's something fans of both will really appreciate. Once the constant time jumping concludes, the overarching narrative takes over and this is where the season starts to falter. The overarching narrative is a grand one, with literally the whole world at risk. It's therefore disappointing that it is wrapped up in the first half of the final episode with relative ease from the overwhelmed heroes. It feels rushed, underdeveloped and a little throwaway. Without spoiling things too much, the reason this happens is to allow the final half of the final episode to dive into the characters themselves and to provide them with some closure. They all get to say their final goodbyes to one another and the audience, but their ultimate fate is a little vague and underwhelming. It's also noticeable that one of the main characters of the show is almost completely absent this season due to scheduling conflicts. To handle this, the show comes up with an excuse for his character to be missing, but the explanation is never satisfying, and their absence is noticeable because of their key connection to certain other characters. They do eventually show up again, but at that point they are pretty much reduced to being a plot point used to solve the narrative. The worst thing about the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are the villains. The villains are one note, stereotypical and just a bit boring. They are often saddled with poor dialogue and direction, with the primary antagonist constantly failing to come across as menacing. It also doesn't help that the primary antagonist has been dressed in an all-black ensemble, trench coat included. It's a little too classical bad guy, to the point of being cheesy and a bit desperate looking. On top of this, the motivations of the villains are vague and underwhelming. One group wants to take over the planet, it's not all that original. The other wants to rule, again, not that original. Considering this is the agents' final foray, they should have had better competition to contend with. The final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is for the most part fun, but also ultimately a bit disappointing. The core cast and characters deserve better foes to contend with in their final outing, and a finale that didn't rush through its plot points at the last minute. There's good action, good comedy, emotion and drama throughout, and the adventures they go on, as well as the shared moments between them, do make this enjoyable despite its flaws. If you've liked this review, why not subscribe to my channel to get more content like this, and go over to Twitter and Instagram to get all my thoughts and opinions at @the_Grant Burton.